With the Wrestling World Championships kicking off, I'm here to tell you about one of the best world champion runs in the history of the sport. 2 years ago, I, Stevan Micic, beat 3 world and Olympic champions back to back to back to become a world champion in freestyle wrestling and claim my first gold medal at the World Championships. Now, before we get into it, guys, I'm sharing this story today with athletes, so make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and turn your notification bells on for more great stories like this on athletes. And if you want to find more about me, make sure to go in the description below. All my links are there for all my socials. So let's get into it. Leading up to 2023 and winning my gold medal, I was always someone who felt like I fell short in the sport of wrestling. Even though I was one of the best in the world and a contender at the weight class at every year, I felt like I always beat some of the best wrestlers when it didn't matter. At the tournaments, the ranking series tournaments in preparation for the World Championships or the Olympics, but I just fell short when it came time to compete and when it all mattered under the biggest prize, becoming a world champion. Being a world champion in the sport of wrestling is one of the most difficult, if not the most difficult thing to accomplish, along with an Olympic gold medal. And sometimes a world championship is even tougher than an Olympics. Much bigger bracket, a lot more contenders, as well as all 10 weight classes, so everybody's at their correct categories. At the 2022 World Championships, I claimed my first ever world medal, placing bronze at 57 kilograms for Serbia, which gave me a lot of confidence going into the following year. This was my first world medal, and I had been competing on the freestyle senior circuit for Serbia since 2018, where I had won European medals and even qualified for an Olympic Games in Tokyo. I even had a lot of success at the collegiate level, where I was an NCAA runner-up and 3-time All-American Big Ten champion, where I felt the same, where I had always been one of the top contenders, but just falling up a little bit short. But this bronze medal in 2022 gave me a lot of confidence leading up to the World Championships, and I knew getting that medal was like getting the monkey off my back and finally being able to gain my confidence to know that I can win this thing. But my weight category, 57 kilograms, is one of the toughest weight classes in the world, pound for pound. The weight class had multiple world and Olympic champions in it, especially leading up to the Olympic Games in 2024. Everyone was coming down to this weight class because it was an Olympic weight. Everyone was trying to qualify and earn a spot to wrestle in the Olympic Games in Paris the following year. So my weight class was absolutely stacked. But this year, I had my blinders on like a racehorse, and I was completely dialed in to train and do whatever it took to become a world champion. I did a lot of traveling into Japan, to Spain, and all across the US to get camps and training in, as well as smaller competitions in order to prepare the best I could. We also brought a lot of people into my training club to get me ready as I could. Not only that, but I also had to cut about 15 pounds to make the weight, which is a lot in sport of wrestling because you have to weigh in the day of competition, unlike fighting. Now, the day before the competition arrived and our draws were given to us, so we knew who we had to wrestle. And let me tell you, I had the absolute craziest draw of all time. Now, the day of the World Championships finally arrived, and I had to wrestle 5 matches in order to get that gold medal. In my first match, I wrestled a wrestler from South Korea named Kim. This was a really great first match for me because I had just cut 15 to 20 pounds and over the span of a couple days in order to make the weight. So getting a first match that I knew that I was a lot better than the wrestler, I was able to just get on the mat, get my blood flowing, and get all the fluids back into my body and wrestling the match, which I won 10-0. Had a lot of my skills, was able to move in my offense, but I'm not gonna lie, I was really nervous for this match because I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel. Making this weight once a year was always really difficult for me, so it's kind of like a hit or miss. If I'm feeling good, I'm gonna cruise, but sometimes you never know, and I could feel really bad. But luckily, this match kicked me off in the right start. In my second match, I wrestled a wrestler by the name of Abdullayev from Uzbekistan, who was kind of a dark horse at the weight class. Somebody who is pretty hot and cold, could compete and almost beat some of the best wrestlers in the weight class, but just haven't had the opportunity to. This match, I won 7-2, I believe, where I was able to get cruising and keep the momentum from my first match, but obviously was a much more skilled opponent, and definitely got me more tired and my body more exhausted and fatigued. Because of his wrestling style, he was throwing me the kitchen sink, so I was reacting to the final whistle, which got my forearms and my legs filled with lactic acid, and I was exhausted after that second match. Now, for those of you who don't know, going into the quarterfinals of a competition, the UWW, or the United World Wrestling, only does 4 progressing matches, which means there's no wrestlebacks and only the winners keep progressing until the finals of that day. So I had to wrestle very quickly and was coming up within 30 minutes of my match. And guess who I had? 2-time world champion and Olympic gold medalist from Tokyo of 2020, Zaur Uguyev of Russia. This guy is one of the best wrestlers pound for pound, let alone probably the best 57 kilogram wrestler in this past decade or two, and hasn't lost in 5 years. He's someone who I've had previous history with training in Dagestan and also wrestling in a match at the European Championships 2018 where I lost 6-4 in a very close match. So I knew I was right there and up there to compete against him, but I knew that this time I had to change something in my wrestling and in my attitude. Although I wasn't feeling good in between my matches, I had ice on my head from overheating, I was sweating a lot and trying to retain as much fluid as I could and even eat if I could. I had to tell myself, this is why I'm here. For these big matches and these big moments, I had to lock in, and I told myself, no matter how I felt, I'm going to wrestle till the end of the whistle, full effort, and let everything fly. Now, going into this match was pretty intimidating, especially not feeling my best and coming off of a very difficult match with 30 minutes ago against the pound-for-pound favorite in the weight class. The match started out very bad for me, actually. Uguev took me down right away, I believe, and then we got into another exchange and scramble where we both scored 2 and 2, finished with him taking me down a third time in the match, taking the lead 7-2 in the first period. I felt like I was thinking too much about how I felt rather than what I was trying to do in my match. I wasn't really making any adjustments in the first period, things that I needed to change technically and tactically in order to score more points. Going to the break at half, I talked to my dad, who's my coach, and he told me I needed to change something, but he told me honestly, hey, we need to adjust something, but I'm not really sure what. But actually something clicked in that moment in my head, and I knew I adjusted my tactics in my head. Hey, I know exactly what I need to do. I need to start using my left hand instead of my right hand to move and snap him around. A lot of Dagestani wrestlers overreact to their fakes and snaps a lot, so I had to kind of turn my motor up a notch, even though I didn't feel like it. I knew exactly what it meant, and I had to really dig deep to do this. I remember also after the match, my sparring partner told me, sitting on the sidelines next to my mother, that she thought she was already asking him who I would wrestle in Repesage in the wrestlebacks because I was losing 7-2, and she didn't even have hope of me winning the match. To her surprise, the second period changed at 180. I was able to start getting into my groove, changed gears, and was able to use the tactics I had, which ended up working on Uguev. He started to react to everything I threw at him, and eventually I was able to get in a good rhythm to where I found his legs and got a takedown. Now the match was 7-4. All of a sudden we come back up to our feet, and after about another 30-45 seconds of wrestling, I find another scramble position where I end up coming out on top. And now all of a sudden it's 7-6 with 25 seconds left in the match. As soon as I got up there, I knew I was going to win the match. I had to just keep coming, but I couldn't think. My body just took over. I don't know what came over me, but I just kept wrestling, kept reacting, and I just knew that I was going to get the job done. Within 10 seconds, I found Uguev's leg with a little crossbody double leg, tried to cut him back, and ended up scoring the 2-point takedown with literally 0 time to spare. The buzzer beater takedown that changed the world and shocked the world. I upset the best wrestler in the lightweight scene, the favorite of the tournament, Zaur Uguev, and took him down 8-7 to win the match. I remember everyone was going crazy, and this was one of the most talked about things of the whole tournament in the wrestling world in the last couple years because this was such a shocking upset. But instead of just letting me dwell over just that match, I knew I was going to keep the momentum rolling. So later that night in the semifinals, I now had to wrestle another world champion, Zelimkhan Abakarov from Albania. He was a Chechen wrestler who changed his nationality to wrestle for Albania and beat me in the world semifinals the year before to claim his gold medal at 57 kilograms in 2022. Abakarov was somebody for me that is a very yin and yang type of matchup. I'm very offensive and long, and Abakarov is very short, stocky, and very defensive and good at blocking out. So I felt like this match more than anything would be more of a tactical battle that I just had to remember how much training and preparation I had, and for him a lot of film, a lot of review, and a lot of sticking to the strategy of what I had to do to win the match. Well, this match was a big chess match if you watch it. Not as exciting as the Uguev match, and a lot of points on the board. It was 1-1 in the second period with only about a minute and a half left, where I started pushing the pace on him, trying to put him on the shot clock, and he panicked. He ended up taking a single leg on me, and luckily enough, I have very good long legs and very good leg defense that I was able to find a chest lock potato sack toss and threw him for 4 points. After the challenge, I won from the referees. I was up 6-1 at this point, and a minute to spare, I locked him down with textbook defense to close off the match and have another upset, another big win over a world champion, Abakarov, in the semifinals, 6-1, and getting revenge over last year's semifinals. And also, I'll interject and add another really crazy story. So this Oura ring that I wear on my finger tracks my sleep and my recovery, and I wore it the night before I weighed in. It tracked and recorded my score of me the night that I had to cut about 7 to 8 pounds before, and then also in the morning. And my dad told me not to check my Oura score that morning. But then fast forward to me beating Uguev and Abakarov in the quarters and the semifinals, making the finals. Before bed that night, because the next day was the finals, my dad said, let's check our Oura score. So I checked it, and it gave me a grade 70, and it said, take a break today, which is crazy because I feel like in the sport of wrestling, sometimes we can get a little bit too analytical, or any sports in general, we get a little too analytical and look at these things. But sometimes you just got to press through or not care about what these little things say and disregard how you feel to get the job done. You're not always going to feel 100% on the day of competition, and you got to push through it. So now, going into the finals, guys, I probably had one of the biggest matchups that I've wrestled so far. I had to wrestle 2022 61 kilogram world champion and 2016 Rio Olympic silver medalist Rei Higuchi from Japan. Higuchi has been known for being one of the most offensive and dynamic wrestlers at the lightweight categories, being known for his single leg, his arm drag, and his leg lace on top, where he dominated the year before to win a gold medal at the World Championships. And now I had to wrestle him in the finals. I was extremely nervous the day before. I remember meeting with my sisters and my family just for some lunch. I could barely eat anything, even though I had finally, made weight and had hours, 7 or 8 hours until I wrestled in the finals. I just remember being so nervous. I could barely stomach anything. But I remember just to stay calm, and I just had so much momentum riding on me with my technique, my mental, my physical, everything was all in sync finally for the first time in my wrestling career, where I felt, things just before had never happened to me like this, and I knew that I was going to take advantage of the moment and seize the moment. So going into my match with Higuchi, both of us had very similar styles with attacking and being able to find the leg, so I knew this was going to come down to a defensive match. This was a match about gunslinging. I think, for me, this was probably my favorite match that I competed in at the World Championships. Everyone always asked me, but because I felt like both of us were able to execute all of our top level techniques and skills against each other, and just the better wrestler had to come out on top. It started with me scoring. He tried to arm drag me. I ended up countering and going behind for 2 points because we practiced this so much. I was able to be up 2-0. Then Higuchi, of course, was someone who just lulled me in and made me feel like I was comfortable in the hand fight. He ends up finding my leg and taking me down twice to take the lead 4-2. I then storm back and take him down again with one of my nice crossbody double legs, finished off to a single leg and took him down, and now the match was 4-4. I'm winning off of criteria. With about a minute left, Higuchi gets to my leg, my high crotch, and I knew, like I said before, this was going to come down to leg defense. Higuchi gets to a leg, and I show flawless technique here, sit him to the corner, sliding his shoulder out, trying to sit around him, and I bait him thinking I'm going to go for the crotch lift and take him over, so he jumps, but I ended up just using technique to keep him and slide my leg through, and I ended up taking him down 6-4 for the takedown. With short time on the clock, I get grounded out of bounds right where he's about to score. The referees call a challenge. I got really nervous, but I knew I made the right decision, and they give me a point for winning the challenge. I take the lead 7-4, and I cruise out the match and finally have the moment that I've been waiting for 20 years of my wrestling career, something I've dreamed of since I was a boy, to become a world champion in the sport of wrestling and become the best in the world. And the way that I did it to become a world champion, there was no questions, there was no doubts. I took out absolutely everyone there was in the bracket to win the gold medal. World champion and Olympic champion, world champion, and then world champion again, and now 2023 world champion. You're looking at him, Stevan Micic from Serbia. So if you look at all the medals that I ended up actually taking out to win my 2023 world title, it's insane and honestly epic and legendary. So let me know what you guys think about this world championship run. I hope this inspires you guys to try to accomplish anything, because anything's possible that you put your mind to, that you dream for and put your works in. You just have to do it. You have to just step up one day and just tell yourself, this is what I've dreamed for, this is what I asked for. I got to seize the moment right now, and this is the time to do it. No matter how I feel, I don't care if I feel the best I do or the worst I've ever felt in my life. I got to step on the line, I got to shake that guy's hand, and I got to come across, and I'm going to get my hand raised no matter what. So thank you guys again. Make sure to subscribe to Athletes. And yeah, world champs in everything we do, baby. Let's go.